go wrong when now it's dark?
Hey everybody, welcome to Now It's Dark. I'm Jim. Just watched a movie called Couple in the Woods on Tubi. This is a 2024 film, only 1 hour and 5 minutes. But it does end up feeling a little bit longer than that. This is a comedy horror. It's a spooky comedy about a couple who ventures to a cabin in the woods to find a page torn from an evil book. Once they arrive, things get weird. They must unfold the mystery, defeat the occultist, his talking pumpkin, and a malevolent spirit. This was written and directed by Dominic Loango, and also sharing writing credits is Sarah Manzella. Dominic Luongo also plays our lead male character, Oliver. His partner in crime, so to speak, is Meg. She's played by Sarah Manzella, and she was one of the writers. So this, when you're watching this film, it's a very slow film. It's filmed very well. Um, it's acted very well. Like, our two leads have a good rapport. You can tell that they have some familiarity with each other outside of the movie, because they do work together. They play off each other well. They have subtle facial expressions to each other. That really works. So you can tell that these two were well suited for this role. They are on some sort of a paranormal quest, as the synopsis says there, to find this torn page from an evil book. So that implies that there is an evil book somewhere in someone else's possession than this occultist that's also mentioned in the synopsis. And the torn page has been missing from the book, and as the couple explains, through dialogue between each other, they've been kind of on the search for 4 years, and they are kind of in the direction of this um, cabin in the woods. And so with the synopsis and with that opening of the movie, because that's kind of the opening, I'll get back to that in a second. I guess I kind of went into this thinking, because it was a comedy horror, that we were really going to get kind of an Evil Dead parody type thing, or nods or things kind of that are from the Evil Dead movies kind of playing into this. And unfortunately, they didn't, and that's my fault for setting myself up for that expectation. Um, the movie does open up, and it does set the tone right away with the chase scene between the occultist and let me see what his name was. Actually, let me just look right here at the IMDb listing. The occultist's name is Tim. He was played by Golden Groves, and he's kind of like a hillbilly-ish looking guy with a gray beard. And he has in his possession this plastic blow mold pumpkin, like a decoration you would buy at Walmart, and it has a candle inside of it, and it talks. Now, there's no CGI generation of like lip movement or anything. You just hear the voice of the pumpkin. The pumpkin does play into the whole story with the occultists throughout, and it seems a little silly because he does carry it around and things. Also, our writer, director, and star, Dominic Loango, is also the voice of the pumpkin. So he has his hands all over this movie. And so we have the occultist chasing a guy named Phil, played by Rick Matthews, and he's later referred to as the dead guy. And that's kind of a reoccurring joke, so to speak, throughout the whole movie. So oddly enough, the couple, Oliver and Meg, find this cabin, and then they're able to find the torn page. It's kind of a fabric-y piece of paper, and it's got some symbols on it. One of them is like in the shape of this key, which then I recognized as being something that the occultist Tim was carrying too. And the best way to describe this key, it was a big metal, um, kind of like an outdoor decoration that somebody might put on the side of a barn, kind of a thing. Um, like you could go to Hobby Lobby and go to like where their kind of like decorations are. So that's fine. I don't know what that symbolized in the occult thing that was going on. Um, and the dead guy kind of comes and goes throughout the story. He just kind of pops up. He's there to help Meg and Oliver. We find out his backstory at the very end. He kind of explains who he was before he was a dead guy. So there's a lot of like paranormal stuff that's introduced into the movie. Um, the afterlife and the here and now. Meg is a big believer in the crystals and stone, the usage of those. At one point, she even burns sage in the woods, which is kind of interesting, kind of funny. So if you're kind of familiar with that kind of stuff, like I actually burn sage once in a while and run it through. If I ever move into a new apartment, I always sage first before I bring my stuff in. Um, so there was a lot of care and detail to that extent in the writing. And the humor, I would say, is more of a dark humor. It's more inside humor between Oliver and Meg, like couple quips and things. They're not quite a couple, actually. They're just, I would say, partners on the quest for this page. And they do find it. Unfortunately, they're kind of like each kind of like struggling with it, rips in half. They each have a half. And that's when things go sideways. The end goal is for the occultist is to collect um, the sheet. He has the key already. Um, Phil, the dead guy, during that chase that I talked about at the beginning of the movie, he was trying to steal this head. It looked like it could have also been a decoration from Hobby Lobby, but it was a like kind of mostly a cow skull in the horns coming out of it. I don't know how to explain what it is, because they had modified it a little bit, put some burlap rope around it and things. So the occultist is trying to resurrect something, and he needs to do a ritual with the different items. They're not quite artifacts, but they're items. We also get a park ranger in and out of the story, kind of comic relief. Um, wasn't really sure the point of the park ranger aspect of this. Um, there's not really a lot of kills in this, and the gore is very, very minimal. This is extremely low budget. I think what this movie has going for it is just that there is kind of a tangible story that you can follow. Some of the scenes, and I'll admit my attention did go up and down because of watching this on Tubi. I had the misfortune of having those ad breaks. And for this movie, the ad breaks really helped, you know, hindered my attention span. So there were parts where I was already kind of drifting out of attention, and then an ad break would happen and it made it worse. Um, but I can tell that there's like a story here. Um, just some of the scene work, based on what we were working with the budget, just kind of made it a little hard to follow sometimes. Afterlife crossover, who's dead, who's not. But it does all wrap up at the end. So even though I was a little bit lost a few times, it definitely wraps up well at the end. Um, and we get to see the entity that's trying to be resurrected a few times throughout the story, and the Dominic and Sarah, they play their characters in a likable fashion. So that this does have that going for it as well. Um, I'm probably giving this more time than it really needs to be. Basically, they need to burn the pages, the torn pages, and that will stop the resurrection from happening. And it also alters some of some people's unalived status as well. I did leave out a chunk, which was difficult for this review because I don't want to like completely spoil it. There are some other things that go on during this. It's only an hour and 5 minutes, and again, the ad breaks make it feel, unfortunately, a lot longer than that. But it's really not that bad of a watch for a 1 hour movie. I do wish more people were brave enough to do movies for an hour. Um, but with that said, it's on Tubi. Give it a look. Give it some support. Dominic Luongo actually does even have a YouTube channel. It's at Dominic Luongo, and it's got some of his other work on it. He's only got 178 subscribers. I'm sure that this isn't something that he's doing on YouTube just to make a ton of money. But, you know, if you want to give him a look, I've got the link down below. You can check out his channel. You can check out the movie on Tubi, which he also has linked in the movie, and you can see some of his other work. And yeah, let me know in the comments down below what you think of this movie. If you've watched it, did you like the original Evil Dead? Because I think the story is slightly um, inspired by some of the broader scope of story from that. And yeah, thanks for tuning into the channel. Keep checking back for more great stuff.